learners! This is Teacher Kimberly and welcome to my channel. Halina't makinig at matuto ng mga pamamaraan at konsepto sa mathematics sa aking tutorial video. At kung bago ka pa lang sa channel ko, huwag kalimutang mag-like, share at subscribe. Pindutin din ang notification bell button para maging updated ka sa mga susunod kong video. In my last tutorial, I discussed all about addition of dissimilar fractions. Today, I will teach you on how to subtract similar and dissimilar fractions. To subtract similar fraction, simply subtract the numerators and then copy the denominator. For example, 10 over 15 minus 3 over 15 equals 7 over 15. Bakit po 7 over 15 ang sagot? Kasi sabi dyan, subtract the numerators. Ang numerators ay yung number na nasa itaas ng fraction bar. So dito, ang ating numerators ay 10 at saka 3. So 10 minus 3 is equal to 7. And then copy the common denominator, which is 15. So the final answer is 7 over 15. Another example, 10 over 12 minus 5 over 12. Again, just subtract the numerators and just copy the common denominator. So 10 minus 5 is equal to 5 and copy the common denominator, which is 12. So the final answer is 5 over 12. Another example, 10 over 14 minus 3 over 14. Again, subtract the numerators. So 10 minus 3 is equal to 7 and just copy the common denominator, which is 14. So the answer is 7 over 14. But hindi pa po ito ang final answer since ang 7 over 14 ay reducible pa into lowest term. So, we need to simplify it into lowest term by finding the GCF or the greatest common factor. Para makuha ang GCF ng 7 at 14, gagawin natin ang listing method. So, ang 7 ay merong factors na 1 at 7. At ang 14 naman, ang factors niya ay 1, 2, 7 at 14. Hanapin natin ang kanilang common factors. Okay, we have 1. Another is 7. So, silang dalawa ang common factors ng 7 at 14. Pero kailangan nating kunin ang greatest common factor o yung pinakamataas na common factor. So, ang GCF ay 7. Pagkatapos kunin ang kanilang common factors, i-divide natin sila both numerator and denominator. So, 7 divided by 7 is equal to 1. And 14 divided by 7 is equal to 2. And 1/2 is the final answer. Another example, 12 over 21 minus 3 over 21. So, subtract the numerators. 12 minus 3 is equal to 9. And copy the common denominator na 21, kaya ang sagot ay 9 over 21. But, this is not the final answer since it is still reducible into lowest term. So, we need to simplify it by finding the GCF or the greatest common factor. By listing method, the GCF of 9 and 21 are 9. Ang kanyang factors ay 1, 3, and 9. At ang 21 naman, ang factors niya ay 1, 3, 7, and 21. Now, let us look for their common factors. So, first, we have 1. Another is 3. So, we have common factors na 1 and 3. But, we need to get the GCF or the greatest common factor. So, our GCF is 3. So, after makuha ang GCF na 3, ay gagamitin natin ito para ma-divide ang both numerator at denominator. So, 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3, and 21 divided by 3 is equal to 7. And the final answer is 3 over 7. Now, let us proceed to subtraction of dissimilar fractions. Sa pag-subtract ng dissimilar fractions ay meron tayong steps na susundin. Number 1. To subtract dissimilar fractions, change it into similar fractions by finding the LCD or the least common denominator. Number 2. Subtract the numerators and copy the denominator. So, ang unang gagawin ay i-change muna ang dissimilar fractions into similar fractions by finding the LCD or the least common denominator. At pagkatapos, pwede na natin siyang i-subtract. Subtract ang numerators at kopyahin lang ang kanilang common denominator. For example, 5 over 9 minus 2 over 6. As you can see, they are dissimilar fractions dahil ang kanilang denominators ay magkaiba. So, ang una nating gagawin ay i-change muna natin sila into similar fractions by finding the LCD or the least common denominator. To get the LCD of 6 and 9, we're going to use the traditional listing method. So, ang 6 ay merong multiples na 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. Pwede pa po itong dagdagan. Makukuha po ang kanyang multiples by following the multiplication table. At ang 9 naman, ang kanyang multiples ay 9, 18, 27, 36, and 45. Now, let's look for their common multiples. So first, we have 18. Another one is 36. But, sabi dyan, get the LCD or the least common denominator. So, kukunin natin ang pinakamababang common denominator. So, our LCD is 18. After getting the LCD of 9 and 6, we can now change them into similar fraction by using their LCD, which is 18. So, ayan po, ginamit na natin yung LCD na 18 bilang kanilang common denominator. After i-change into similar fractions, i-divide po natin yung 18 sa denominators na 9 and 6. So, 18 divided by 9 is equal to 2. Then, multiply the result to the numerator of 9, which is 5. So, 2 times 5 is equal to 10. Next, divide 18 by 6. So, 18 divided by 6 is equal to 3. Then, multiply the result to the numerator of 6, which is 2. So, 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Since similar fraction na sila, we can now subtract. So, just subtract the numerators and just copy the common denominator. So, 10 minus 6 is equal to 4 and copy the common denominator, which is 18. So, the answer is 4 over 18. But, reducible pa po siya into lowest term, kaya hindi pa yan ang kanyang final answer. So, we need to simplify it into lowest term by finding the GCF or the greatest common factor. Para makuha ang GCF ni 4 at saka 18, gagawin ulit natin ang traditional listing method. So, ang 4 meron siyang factors na 1, 2, and 4. Bakit po 1, 2, and 4 ang kanyang factors? Kasi 1 times 4 is equal to 4, and 2 times 2 is equal to 4. Ang 80 naman, ang kanyang factors ay 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. So, let's look for their common factors. So, first, we have 1. Another is 2. So since GCF or the greatest common factor ang ating gagamitin, kukunin natin ang pinakamataas na factor. So our GCF is 2. Pagkatapos kunin ang GCF na 2, ay i-divide ito both numerator and denominator doon sa result na 4/18. So 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2, and 18 divided by 2 is equal to 9. And 2/9 is the final answer. Another example, 5/7 minus 3/6. So again, let's change it into similar fraction by finding their LCD or the least common denominator. By listing method, we can now find the LCD of 7 and 6. So ang 7, ang kanyang multiples ay 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, and 49. Pwede pa po itong dagdagan hanggang umabot siya sa 70. Makukuha po ang kanyang multiples by following the multiplication table. At ang 6 naman, ang kanyang multiples ay 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. Now, let's look for their common multiples. So, ayan, we have 42. And that will be our LCD. Pagkatapos kunin ang LCD ni 7 at saka 6, i-change na natin ito into similar fractions by using the LCD, which is 42, as their common denominator. Pagkatapos, ay i-divide natin yung common denominator by the denominators na 7 at saka 6. So first, divide 42 by 7. So 42 divided by 7 is equal to 6. And imumultiply po ang result doon sa numerator ni 7, which is 5. So 6 times 5 is equal to 30. Then divide 42 by 6. So 42 divided by 6 is equal to 7, and multiply the result to the numerator of 6, which is 3. So 7 times 3 is equal to 21. Since similar fraction na sila, we can now just subtract. Just subtract the numerators and just copy the common denominator. So 30 minus 21 is equal to 9, and copy the common denominator na 42. So the answer is 9/42. But this is not the final answer, since it is still reducible into lowest term. So we need to find the GCF. Let's do the listing method to find the GCF of 9 and 42. So ang 9 meron siyang factors na 1, 3, and 9. Ang 42 naman ay merong factors na 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 14, 21, and 42. So let's look for their common factors. First, we have 1, and another is 3. But since ang gagamitin natin ay GCF or the greatest common factor, our GCF is 3. Pagkatapos makuha ang GCF, gagamitin natin ito para i-divide doon sa result na 9/42. I-divide natin ito both numerator and denominator. So 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3, and 42 divided by 3 is equal to 14. And the final answer is 3/14. That's all for today's tutorial, at sana ay may natutunan kayo sa tutorial na ito. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also hit the notification bell button so that you'll get updated on my next video. Thank you for watching!